hello, hello. Welcome, wonderful listeners. It's another episode. My co-host is always smiling big when I press the record button. So,
No, it's your reaction before you speak into the mic. You do like this, like pause, you smile, and then you go like, hello, hello, hello. I'm like, okay.
you need to set yourself in the mood. It needs to be the right mood. So
Well, it's the Diaspod.
it's John and Tenjiwe, ladies and gentlemen. And yes, we welcome you as we welcome ourselves to this wonderful, wonderful space. We're about to share more and more experiences as we always do.
Let's get into it. What's going on today? How are you?
I'm good. Of course, happy to be recording another episode.
Yeah.
And like we said last week, we are on a new platform. So just before this, I was busy uploading the previous episode. Took me some time, but it's been good, and I see it's getting warmer outside finally.
Well, you wouldn't want to say that now. It's still January.
No, I mean, at least I'm optimistic for this week because temperatures for this week
say the week
look okay. And I mean, the streets are clear. They're cleared now. For now, at least you can walk.
Before you get to 1st of February and it snows all over again.
Yeah, I think the best thing to do right now is appreciate the day. Maybe if you wake up and the day is sunny, you go like, okay, this is wonderful. I think the whole idea of thinking of a month ahead is not practical here, because it's sunny today and then following week there's a lot of snow, and then the week after it's like super cold. So if you have a day, in fact if you have an hour of sunshine, you just say thank you. How are you doing though?
I have chronic back pain. Okay, it's not chronic.
Oh yeah.
Look at me self-diagnosing.
2 days of back pain has become chronic now.
But hello, I have like this annoyingly sharp back pain that just it's not making my life very nice at the moment.
If we have a isn't it a chiropractor? Chiropractor on our listeners list, please. Somebody needs help here.
I need somebody to crank me up the right way so that I get back to
somebody
functioning.
needs to crack some bones. I don't know if it's bones or muscles that crack, but yeah, definitely somebody's back needs help.
That is absolutely true. I'm a beating.
Yeah, but yeah, so sorry about that, and hopefully we can give you some medication, which is rarely provided in Norway.
Healing.
We'll get you some roots.
I prefer the healing roots.
Okay, but yeah, so what are we on today? What experiences are we sharing?
I don't know actually, because I don't know if is this something we've actually experienced or it's just something that we're going to blindly talk about.
Exactly. Yeah. So today's topic, backstory. A couple of days ago, I was scrolling through Facebook, my Facebook feed, and I came across a post from somebody that I know. Wouldn't really call him a friend, but yeah, it's somebody an acquaintance. Oh yeah, that's the right word, an acquaintance. Yeah, so he made a post. I think he's lived in Norway for some time and a couple of other countries. Yeah, so he's one of those that has spent time in like Europe, but then at some point time came for him to to return back to Zambia. He was done with school, his education, and things didn't quite work out for him here, so he had to go back at some point.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, it wasn't so much of a sad moment at the time, because he was excited to be going back to Zambia. Of course, he had acquired his papers. He had a bachelor's degree and a master's from a reputable university
Yeah.
in Norway. He actually studied in Sweden as well.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty good papers that he had, and he was quite optimistic that he would just step into the Zambian
Job market.
job market and land jobs that he could pick from. He was so excited. So fast forward, he finally landed in Zambia, and things did not go as he had anticipated. He was sending out applications, and he kept sending out applications with no response. And you know how it is. You come back from Europe, of course. He had some savings that he had.
He had a little bit in the
He
bank.
had something in the bank, so he was living the life. Not necessarily living the life. He wasn't so worried. He was like, I do have, some money in the bank. So by the time or before it runs out, at least I should have found myself a good job and, all that.
Should have handled my situation.
And, first month passed, 6 months, 1 year, and the money that he had saved ran out. And
doesn't it always?
And so basically he ended up he actually ended up working with Ulendo, which is like Uber. He ended up working with Uber, and it was he said that it was a low point in life because you're coming from Europe with all this education and I don't know, family and friends have high hopes, and here you are, somebody just randomly meets you in the street and you're picking them up in an Uber, and it was so depressing for him, and but that's just what I wanted us to talk about today. Such experiences. He's doing. He's on an upward trajectory right now. It's not a sad story. He came back to Norway, and he's building up his life pretty well. So, but I just wanted us to focus on the return, like that point where you get back to your home country with all the papers. And I know we haven't experienced that. I hope we don't, to be honest. I hope by the time we're getting back to Zambia, we'll be Vachinondo.
Everything will be set.
Everything is set. But, I know we haven't experienced this, or I don't know if you've seen somebody that has.
No, definitely we have heard the stories with this. I think maybe what we can talk about is kind of like the life, like the lessons learned from other people's experiences. Yeah, because I remember the time I was preparing to come to Norway. I sat down with the guy that did the program that I came on before me, the SCI program. And I remember one of the questions I asked him was, were you able to send money back home? And he looked at me in a very strange way. Like maybe he didn't expect that question. He expected, what type of food and wada. But that was one of the questions I asked him. And then he was like, go and you see what happens.
Go and experience.
Yeah.
Was that when you were coming to Norway?
Yeah, when I was coming to Norway for like the SCI exchange thing. And he was like, go and you see what happens. So I pressed him. I was like, what do you mean explain? Because I'm, thinking, I might make some investments and all of that. And he was like, I don't know about you, but for me, the money wasn't in that enough for me to be able to save anything significant or like, to be able to do anything that's significant. But, I could be wrong. Go and see for yourself. And I came, and to be honest, he was actually right. I did kind of try to send money back home, but then I strained myself so much. Like my budget was so tight. Like
It was so
it
tight.
was so tight for me to be able to do that extra thing of sending money home. It was so tight. That means I was literally saving nothing. Yeah. So maybe the conversation we should be having is how do we prevent those situations of people go abroad? Because these are stories that we've had. People go abroad, they live there a couple of years, their life is great, it's Gucci, but then when they actually return back home, they find, they are not able to, first of all, integrate back into society properly.
Yeah.
You're not able to find a job and just, and then whatever money that you had in your savings runs out because, you're trying to kind of keep up the same kind of like lifestyle
You're trying to keep up the same lifestyle, and also okay, I won't stop you anyway. Just go. No, but that's a really important point that you just raised. It's not just about for most people there's a lot of pressure when you get back home. It's not that you need to keep up with like the lifestyle that you had in Europe. Of course, it's different, and it's the money that you earn here.
Yeah.
It lets you live a certain life, a certain lifestyle, a certain standard. But when you go back home, it's not just you. I mean, I would argue that here, it's you're working and you're feeding yourself, and you're living life. You don't have so many responsibilities.
Yeah.
But when you go home, like there's people around you that that are going
true.
like, okay, you came back from Europe. Now let's bounce on you. There's friends, there's family, there's and you need to the little money that you've saved, you need to give to this one, you need to support this one, and all of that. And you cannot say no because there's that pressure to say, I'm coming from Europe, I don't want to be looked at as somebody that has been struggling or somebody that didn't save up money. And it's always nice, when you have a bit of money in your account, you go like, maybe it's enough, it's not so bad. When it reaches this amount, then I'll start paying attention. Before you know it, there's nothing left.
Yeah.
And that's I really understand, and I agree with that point that you raised to say the money does run out. Anything else? And also, I don't know if it goes with planning. I remember the same guy as well. Like before I saw his post on Facebook, I met him once. I think it was like the second time I had met him in Norway, right here.
Yeah.
And he said something, it was, of course, he had already, he was going towards the end of his visa. So he had already, things had already decided. Not he had already decided, but it was the end of his visa. He wasn't going to renew it. So it was set. He was going back to Zambia. So I asked him, at that time I was still, doing my master's, and, you think you have a lot of time.
Yeah.
And you're asking him like, okay, so are you going back to Zambia? Why are you going back?
Yeah.
And he told me something. He's like, I'll give you some advice. Again, he's like, I've wasted a lot of time.
Okay.
Yeah, I've wasted a lot of time on thinking that, I still have a year, I still have 2 years, like that kind of thinking to say, I'll start looking for a job next year. I'll start preparing for a job next year. And what he said was, it wasn't even about, staying in Europe. He was like, I have friends in Zambia that I went to school with, like he was at UNZA. They've made a lot of progress. Whereas I was comfortable in my, in my part-time jobs. I was like, I'm making enough money, it's fine,
Yeah.
But then reality hit. He was like, oh my goodness, if I'm done with this part-time job that I have, I'm going to start from like the ground like
Scratch.
zero to start looking for jobs. Whereas, you have friends that
Are getting promotions.
yeah, they're getting promotions.
Mhm.
If they have to leave their current job, they're looking for something better in a professional setup. So he was like, it's really important to know where you are and how you're growing. Like, don't just like life in Europe will make you so comfortable to say it's okay,
Yeah.
I'm making enough.
Yeah,
It's
that's
fine.
true.
It's fine. I'm saving this amount, especially when you make conversions. You're like, if I convert
Yeah.
my salary to your salary in Zambia, it's like it's 3 times, it's 4
I'm doing
times.
better. Yeah, but with no substantial
With
investments.
no
Yeah.
substantial investments. And reality hits when you actually go back to Zambia. Like, even when I read that post, he was like, I thought I was special until I started considering Uber. Like, I thought I was, you're like, I come from Europe. It's not helping you in any way.
Nope.
Okay, you have your papers. They are not helping you.
Nope.
Nothing. It's just, oh yeah, the only thing you can do now is get the same jobs that you were qualified for to do here. The only difference is they don't pay well.
They don't pay as
It's
much.
not the same money that you go around that will feed you for the rest of your month, enable you to save and pay rent and all these other bills. And so yeah, I guess it's preparation as well. It's knowing where you are, and even if you have a part-time job, you know why you're doing it. I think we spoke about this last time, is that these jobs that we have, the part-time jobs, you should know why you're having them. It's like to get references, for instance, that you're going to use to for your next job, or for the next opportunity that you would want to get. You're not just in it like day in, day out, same thing, 1 year, 2, 3 years. It's like the same thing, like going, what do they call it, going in circles. And so yeah, I think it's one of those things that we should uh, consider and take note of.
Of course.
Mm,
Yeah, and it's also something that all of us should really. I mean, and this is all of us, whether you're living at home or you're living abroad. I think starting to invest while we're young is something that we should really consider. Just as you were speaking, I had like so many points that I could refer to. I think the first one was one of my aunts. The last time I was in Zambia, just the day before I left, we had this conversation. It was more of a lecture than a conversation, because she was telling me, she was like, I hope you actually know what you're doing. Number one, of going abroad, and I get it, you are trying to get all these fancy degrees from these fancy universities abroad, but then you should also realize that if your target or if your goal is that you get fancy education and come back at home, you should realize that at home everybody else is going forward without you.
exactly.
So all your friends that you went to school with, you will come back and they'll be your boss. You will come back and things would have changed. It's not like you're going to go out there and come back to the same thing. Like,
people
know
grow.
what the goal, like, as you are doing whatever, she was like, it's fine, go do whatever it is that you're doing, but then what's the goal? Is it, are you going to go and resettle there after education, or if your goal is to come back? So if your goal is to come back, keep your ties here, know what's happening here, know who's where, and so that even if you come back, you don't have to come to stress, ask your family members to help you find a job, because your network would have already been there. Your network is already there. It's established. So because she has been working in government for quite a long time, so she was like, it would be embarrassing for us to start helping you find a job as the old people, and we have to start asking your friends to help you. So that was one of her advices, of like, have the end goal in mind, because it's all nice of when you're excited, I'm gonna travel, I'm gonna go. I think sometimes we don't see beyond, I'm gonna get on a plane and go somewhere. So what's the end goal? And another thing I thought about that the same aunt of mine said was, one thing for her that has helped her throughout her career was, she started like investing young,
Mm.
and not because of like anticipating like wanting to be rich, but she was thinking about retirement and how she has seen so many people starting from her parents work their asses off their whole life. And oh, am I not supposed to say that? You told me
It's
that.
okay.
Okay, I'll say it again. They work a lot their whole lives, and because everybody is like, when you're working, especially formal employment, you have a dip in the pension, right?
Yeah.
So you have this, everybody assumes they have this big pension waiting for them
So
at
much,
the
a
end,
bag of money.
right? And usually, of course, it is a substantial amount of money, but then what happens when you get that big block of money? Because then that's it. It's the big block of money. And most people she referred to, she was like, most retirees buy a farm and they spend most of the money goes to purchasing that farm, but then they don't realize that, oh, the farm will need
It needs
equipment,
to be
workers,
maintained,
all of
and
that.
yeah.
How are you going to grow the crops if you have no money coming from outside? Everybody just thinks about, oh, I'm going to buy a farm, plant some vegetables, go sell at the market, and I'll have profit. No, you have to put in more to actually get, like, so investing young is something that you should start, especially if you have like a proper job, a job that is, and by a proper job, I don't mean you're a manager somewhere. I mean a job that is actually giving you income
Gives
every
you
month.
income. It gives you income every month.
Yeah. So start, and investing can be, you invest in a business, in property, in yourself, in education, and all of that. But just have like that end goal. End
Yeah.
goal, like here, what's
What am I doing
yeah,
here?
what's the
Like,
end
for
goal
what
here?
reason?
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. So at least those are some of the points I remembered when you were speaking. And I think we had this conversation again some while back of how people living abroad want to start businesses back home that they can't maintain because they're not there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's also nice to think about, okay, I'm saving up or I'm investing or I'm whatever, but how am I able to manage this from where I am?
Yeah.
Yeah. How am I able to manage and grow this from where I am?
Yeah. And I think life is all about learning. It's all about learning. Like, the point obviously that you've raised is really important, is that you need to have an end goal in mind. You cannot just like move blindly, to say, because and I tend to think sometimes we have this, I don't know what the right word is. We have these goals that I don't know if it's to please people, especially with social media. Is that if you have a goal, for instance, to say, if I go to Europe, people are happy, obviously. They're like, oh, yeah, you're going to Europe. You're going to study in Europe, you're going to university. And then you're there, especially with social media nowadays, as long as you're posting a good picture and people are appreciating you, and, people are asking, oh, you're in Europe, you're studying there. How did you do this? How did you get there? It feels like an achievement in some way.
Yeah.
And you begin to lose sight of where you're heading. You're like, oh, yeah, because you're in a comfortable space. People respect you. And
you start ticking off the boxes of what people think people in Europe should be doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I guess it messes with your mind. You stop thinking about what comes after, because you're in that moment and, like, I don't know if it feels like it's going to last forever, like you're going to be in that, space for forever and ever. And you forget, like, the end goal. And, by the time those resources run out, the constant income, what you're getting every month, and now it's time to go back to your country, reality hits, you have nothing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's like you said, it's important to think about the end goal. And like these things, and I know it's difficult to invest, like when you're far away from home, especially.
Yeah.
But people do it, like there's somebody out there doing, like, running a business from afar. So I guess it's all about learning, like, how it's done. Because I'm of the idea that, and I've heard this before, like, if there's nobody doing it, yeah, then you have reason to go like, oh yeah, nobody on this planet Earth is investing in a country that's, where they don't live but people do this. Like, you're living, I don't know, in the US, and they have a company that's running really, really good in Zambia.
Yeah.
So it's all about learning, and it's possible.
Hmm.
And it's very much possible. And so, it's always important to prepare. Even if we're not going back to live in our homeland anytime soon, we should prepare for that moment to say, the day that we'll go there, we should
Eventually.
find, we should, we shouldn't go there and just stand in the middle of town with suitcases and go like, okay, what now? It's like, let's
Yeah.
start investing. Let's
Yeah,
start
that's true.
investing now. So,
Mm.
yeah, I guess that's, one of the other ways you can actually navigate
Mm.
the whole, situation of, you find yourself
Of moving
returning to
back
your home
home.
country and then you're stranded, because it's a really sad situation. Like, I've seen stories that I wouldn't even want to share here from like friends that have,
Mm.
at least this guy that I spoke about, he ended up as an Uber driver, which is, it's still income at the end of the day. Like, no
Yeah.
offense to Uber drivers, they get an income. But I actually know people that have gone back to nothing, like absolutely nothing, where the money that they were saving runs out. Like,
Mm-hmm.
they have absolutely no income because they were expecting to get a job, and then the money that they had saved runs out. They have nowhere to go, and it's like you're just stuck with these papers, and like they're the ones that you you received from your university. You're stuck with your degree or your master's degree, and it's really bad, and it's really, really sad, and it's scary at the same time. You're like, geez, this could actually be me, because
Mm.
there's no special people out there. These things can happen to anyone.
Yeah.
It can happen to anyone,
Mm.
and it can't happen to you until it happens to you.
True. But on the flip side,
Mm-hmm.
it's not all bad
Mm-hmm.
moving back home because,
No,
yeah,
it's not.
there are, of course, other people that move back home and after being abroad for a long time and even without having invested, they still find their way, they still get back on their feet.
Yeah.
And to this, I will attribute three things:
Mm-hmm.
network,
Yeah.
family and friends,
Mm.
and luck.
And luck.
And
Luck is
luck.
very important. Very, very
Because
important.
when you move back home, especially like in our countries or the developing countries, everybody is still fighting for the same opportunities that you are going to start fighting for.
Mm.
So if you don't have a proper network, I remember I have an uncle. He's my uncle now. By then he was just like my aunt's boyfriend, but now he's my uncle. They were together at uni, right? I think he was a year ahead or something like that. So when he finished his bachelor's, he went to do his master's in the UK. And yeah, he left. He left his whole girlfriend for, I don't know if it was 4 or 5 years.
Wow.
They had been dating, and he went to the UK. But then when he came back after his master's, his friends had like gotten jobs and da 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 da. And I remember for him, it was that network that actually helped him integrate back.
Mm-hmm.
Because not only before he left, he was like a tutor at our university, same university.
Mm-hmm.
So he tutored for a few months and then he went to do his master's.
Mm.
So like that, I feel like that connection was kind of like still kept open. So like when he came and, brought his credentials, it was kind of easy to go like, oh yeah, we are actually, looking for a lecturer.
Looking
And
for a
so
lecturer.
here you go. I mean, that's how I see it for me who was looking from the outside looking in. Maybe his story is different, but it does happen for a lot more other people.
Mm-hmm.
I know of another girl back in Kafue. I think she was studying somewhere. I don't remember where, but it was in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if it was Tunisia or somewhere, but somewhere in the north.
Yeah.
Yeah, and after she finished her bachelor, she came back home. Of course, she sat home for a few months, did some job ads, and boom, she got herself a job in a nice good tech company. So it does happen, but I feel like it should be attributed that you should consider the factors of you do need to have a network. And when we say network, not your Facebook people that you boast to that no, yeah, broad, yeah, where, no. like an action network of people who are in positions that are actually able to help you. Keep in touch with people in organizations. Oh my God, what are you doing? People post this stuff on their Facebook, their LinkedIn. You see, oh, Shadi started a new job at Ministry of Health.
Ministry of
Hit them
Health.
up. How are you doing? How's the new job and all of that? Because that is the same network that you actually go and find yourself in. Those are the people that will recommend you, send you a job ad, and all of those things. And it goes to the same thing. That's why I grouped friends and family together, because your friend might have an uncle who works I don't know where, or a dad who works where, or a husband who works where.
Recommend that one.
And they will recommend you. And it's the same thing with your family members as well. So, and of course, a little bit of luck sprinkled in there, because
There needs to be some luck,
Yeah. The other day I think I was telling you, I was like, where are those? I mean, maybe we just hear them in people's books and movies and whatever, but where are those jobs where people get employed and they give them a car, a house, and a benefits package, like all in one? And some people get that. It's just, you go send a few applications, before you know it, you're back home, you've only been there a month, and you've got a cushy new job, a house, a cat, a dog, everything's
like everything is sorted, within a few months. But yeah, it is very true, actually. Like networking, again, it goes back to the attitude you have when you leave for Europe. Most of us are, you feel you're up there in the sky, and
you only see yourself on a plane, that's all.
And everybody that you've left behind is suddenly a nobody. And you go like, oh yeah, I'm above everybody now. And then you don't want to interact with people that will be of use in the future. And I always say this, like, you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. So it's always good to keep good connections with people. And it does, regardless of their position, like the position they're in right now. So you might be getting your education in some very nice university, and suddenly you have better credentials than the people that you're interacting with before. And it's still important to keep in touch with people, because they will help you one day. And like we said in the previous episodes, it just takes one sentence to for somebody to think about you, or to take a job offer. It's just, oh yeah, there's this guy, there's this lady, they have this and this. Just that, it's gonna change everything for you. So it's always nice to keep a good network. And just respect everybody. Post your pictures on Facebook, but don't look down on anyone. Just don't look down on anyone.
Kabusting, not sana.
Kabusting, not sana, guys. Yeah, you go back. But it's like you said, it's not all bad. There are a lot of success stories. I also have an auntie. We're not so close, but yeah, I remember back then when she paid us visits at home. She left for the UK as well. I think she went to study like some kind of teaching.
Yeah.
And she did pretty well, actually. She went, did her studies, came back. She had a good network, and like she was one of those very, very smart people. It's not like she's dead or something. She's still very smart. She's still very smart. And yeah, when she came back, she right away, because of the connections that she had, like not connections, but a good network that she had. Yeah, she found a job, worked herself up. Now she's like a diplomat now. So they're really, really good stories to this that are inspirational, and it goes with like respect, like keeping ties with people. And she's where she is. She's always saying that. It's like just keep a good network. They will help you. She's like, yeah, I might have passed or aced my exams, but without others, like I would still be stuck on the outside looking for a job. And yeah, she's a diplomat. I think she's working from Zimbabwe now. and she makes trips to and from Zambia, Zimbabwe, and yeah, those are things that show that it's possible to make it.
It is.
It is possible to make it. Um, yeah, and then obviously there's an option of that people like us are taking. We don't want to return just yet. we're
Staying a
not
little bit longer.
we're not ready. Yeah, it's again, it's the same thing. You need to look at the end goal. Some of us are just realizing that, but for you, you still have you have a nice journey ahead of you
Oh,
because
thank you. Thank you. I take that as a manifestation.
it's a wonderful journey. Yeah, it's something that I'm learning is that if you really want to live in Norway, for instance,
Yeah.
like create a whole list of things that you need. You need to stay here. If you want to find a job, make sure you
Not a list of all the things you should do or the places you should
no,
visit.
please, not to vacation. Just don't think about vacation and what you're gonna do on a Friday. But yeah, have a checklist. Go like, okay, yeah, do I need this? I need the language. Okay, I need this on my CV. I need this and that. This is what they require if you to find if you want to get a job here. And as you are moving, make sure you are heading towards checking out those lists. And that's the only way you do it. You don't I know luck it happens. Sometimes you just find yourself in a good position, but I think luck works hand in hand with effort as well. You need to put yourself in that.
You need to be applying.
Yeah, you need to put yourself in a position where luck sort of finds you, or you you widen the street. Yeah.
You widen the luck meter.
The luck meter, so that it hits you. At least the luck vehicle hits you. So yeah, that's that really. This feels like a short conversation. Anything you wanted to add on?
No, not really. Maybe it's also just to say that doesn't mean people should be scared of going abroad. That or like leaving abroad. Like either way, like that doesn't mean you should be scared or you should be discouraged. Like because I know they're strong. I don't think we are friends anymore, but I would say I have an acquaintance who felt so strongly that leaving home is not worth it. Like traveling is just not for them. And that's fine as well. But then for the people that are going like, maybe you're on the fence about it. You're like, I should leave everything that I have, everything that I know just to go to somewhere else that's new where I don't know anything. That shouldn't discourage you from doing that because sometimes it might fail, sometimes it might work, but it's what the experience you gain out of it that makes you the person that you become afterwards. So
exactly, true.
Yeah, don't be scared.
Don't be scared
or discouraged.
And I think we were talking about this just yesterday. We're like, maybe it's because it's Norway, but we're like, they're just certain countries that you would never find here because it's nice in their countries.
Oh yeah, they never
find a Namibian here. Like Namibian, somebody from Botswana.
Maybe we've just not encountered them. Yeah, but we were.
I think they're just as few as Zambians, maybe fewer than Zambians.
It's like one in a.
Yeah, because Zambians are rare species as well.
They're not that rare. Have you ever been to an independence party? They're there.
Oh my God! But compare that to Zimbabwe. Like if they had to have an independence party, like how many Zimbabweans would show up? So
a lot more.
Yeah. Also, I guess those are some considerations as well. If stuff is good in your home country, why leave? Don't break it. If it's not broken, don't what?
I don't know. Don't fix it if it's not broken.
Don't fix it if it's not broken. So I mean, if it's so good, you've got a good job. Just upgrade within. You don't need to step out.
You can still travel for vacation. Still
Yeah,
fine,
I mean for vacation,
but not to like move your whole
not
life.
to move your whole life. You find that,
Mm.
where you're going, it's not, the grass is not as green as it seems.
It's not green now on the other
It's not
side.
green on the other side. So, yeah. Anything else? Oh, and by the way, Ash, I wished we had a guest for this episode, but
Mm.
unfortunately I got blue ticked. I sent out an
Dun
invitation, but
dun.
things don't
Dun
always
dun dun
work out,
dun.
and yeah,
Yeah, but we keep
it,
moving.
it would have been nice to hear firsthand info and a
Mm.
firsthand experience to just get an insight on the details, because this came from like a paragraph that I just read. Surely there was more information that yeah could have been added, and yeah, but there's more to come. Hopefully by the time we have a similar discussion, we'll be able to invite somebody
Somebody who has
who
actually experienced
has
it.
experienced this
Yeah, we'll talk about experience when we go back.
when we go back.
When we go back to visit, and we'll be like, yeah, guys.
I was like, oh my goodness.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, so I know this session was like full of advice mostly, but
Yeah.
yeah, any last words to the people who wish
Mm.
to travel and they're scared and they're like, oh yeah, I saw Adam and there was Eve, they suffered when they came back here. I don't want to experience that.
I think the main takeaway from this should be don't be discouraged and know what the end goal is.
Mm.
Yeah, and what you said, and either ways, whether you're moving to stay, you're moving to go back, um, figure out what you need to achieve that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
True. So yeah, it does work out. Like you just need to, like I said, you just need to look around and see the successful stories. If they exist, then we can all do it. Then it's
We
possible.
can do it. Yes,
Yes,
we
we can. Then yes, we can, people. So please don't be scared. Take the risks. Just like we did. So when some of us were leaving Zambia, people were asking questions like, why? Why are you leaving a job and going to school? Why don't you just study and keep on,
working
keep on
here.
working here? But it's a choice that you make. If your mind and your body feels like it wants to go out there, please don't stop yourself.
And you might never know, the love of your life might
You might find your partner. You might find your partner in Norway as well. There's if you're struggling with love in Zambia, please.
If Lusaka's become the world.
Maybe you need to go somewhere else. You never know where your chosen one or your lifelong partner lies. And yeah, maybe your happiness lies out there. So just go for it. Go for it, and it will work out. It will work out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had very wonderful discussion. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to us. And as
Yes.
always, big thank you to my co-host, Tenjiwe, and yeah, myself, John. We love this space, and we'll continue putting out episodes. We hope you continue, having a listen as you always do. Yeah. So until
the next one.
until the next one, if we had a topic already planned, we'd let you know, just so to excite
But
you a little bit.
it
But
comes as it comes.
it comes as it comes. They're quite experiences. So we experience, and then we're like, oh yeah, we should actually talk about this. So we are yet to experience something. I'm just joking, but but until next week, it's been the Diaspod, and we'll see you again, same time, same place.
Bye.
Aditra.